Mark and Cecil were never going to get along. I'm doing a rewatch of Invincible leading up to the new season dropping in March, and there's some things I want to talk about. So if you haven't seen Invincible or if you're watching it yourself, go ahead and skedoodle because there's going to be spoilers. Mark and Cecil's relationship was never going to be a healthy one, and I blame it specifically on Omni-Man's betrayal. Omni-Man's betrayal caused an immense amount of trust issues from Cecil, and it causes Mark to have this different ideology of what it means to save people. Mark doesn't want to see anyone get hurt from a situation that he could have stopped, while Cecil is willing to sacrifice a few people if it means saving the greater good. And so right off the bat, Mark and Cecil's methods to saving the world vastly differ from each other. Like when Mark is down in Atlantis and he thinks he has to marry the Atlantean queen, but instead they have him do a trial by combat. And so during this combat with this giant fish creature, Mark is able to kind of get away, and Cecil tells him, "Go, get away, we're calling in backup." But Mark turns around and he sees that people are being hurt. And Mark cannot leave those people behind knowing that they're going to get harmed or maimed, and he could do something to stop it. So by violating Cecil's orders, it creates more of a rift between the relationship between him and Cecil. But Mark is not the one to blame here, at least not 100%, because there are countless things that Cecil does and doesn't tell Mark that also creates a massive rift in the trust between Mark and Cecil. And just the way that Cecil tries to control Mark to keep him in check. Few examples that come to the top of my head are when he threatens Mark to have Oliver taken away from Debbie just because Mark wants to go say hi to his girlfriend he hasn't seen in 2 months, instead of immediately checking in with Cecil when he gets back. And of course, Mark is traumatized from that spaceship for a whole different plethora of reasons that I can go into for a different video. So more reasons that Mark is going to end up not trusting Cecil as much is because Cecil kept Nightboy, or Darkwing's predecessor / replacement, alive and not locked up. And Mark thought that Nightboy was going to get locked up because of the crimes he committed and the lives he took. But the next thing we know, Nightboy / Darkwing is working with the Guardians. But not only did Mark find out that Nightboy isn't locked up, but that also Cecil is continuing DA Sinclair's project, which then leads into Mark learning that Cecil had a chip put into his head the last time he was critically injured. The chip in his head plays an ear-splitting noise that incapacitates Mark. And so there's 3 things back to back to back that Mark learns that makes him lose all his trust in Cecil. So everything from Mark's disobedience to Cecil's orders, to Cecil going behind Mark's back to continue to do what he thinks is best for the Earth, their ideas of saving the world and their methods to doing so differ from each other so vastly, it was always going to create tension. I love Mark as a character. I also love Cecil as a character. They're 2 of the most complex, complicated characters within the show. But those are just my thoughts on the relationship between Cecil and Mark and why they were never going to get along. But I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think they could have done something differently, communicated a little bit better to be able to have a better working relationship, or were they always doomed to be like this?